You stupid bitch. Yeah, you're a stupid bitch. You stupid bitch.
Welcome to this week's episode of Stupid Bitches Say What, the
What?
Aussie podcast about everything and nothing, but always with wine, and your hosts, Sean Bino Hipkins and Sky Lee Collett.
This week, it's What's the Haps? The episode where we discuss the goings on in the world that really piqued our interests. Please. This week, we're discussing a movie premiere, Prince Harry's revelations, the Grammys, Madonna's face, America's Most Inbred Family, and other little articles that made us go, wowzers. What are you drinking, Sky?
Oh, I'm so intrigued by the Most Inbred Family.
Oh, look, I'll get to that.
I can't wait. I hope you're doing that first. Okay, so what am I
thought,
drinking?
actually, to be fair, I've put the Inbred Family as one of the last ones because I thought it'd be better when we're a bit more drunker.
I want to hear
to
about
discuss.
the Inbred Family. I feel drunk anyway. I've only had 2 glasses. I'm on my third, but yeah, like, woo! Okay, so what am I drinking? I'm drinking Little Jack. I believe this is.
Oh, you did this last episode.
And you've also drunk it.
Yes, but you did it last episode.
And you know, I was thinking today I need to catalogue about 3 seasons worth of wine so badly, and then we need to start posting them. But it's Little Jack organic, but I think I was doing the organic Sauv Blanc. This is the organic Pinot Grigio.
Oh, well, look, that's a completely different wine.
2022 from the Central Ranges. Oh yeah, I remember because he had the little peg leg that looked like a schlong.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. And you know they've got the angel funded on the back now, and the other one was the same.
Oh, so does this one. That's how we'll be able to tell.
Well, I can tell from the labels anyway, as you understood from Saturday night.
I did, and that was the Friday night.
But it's nice. It's nice. I was finishing the bottle from Wednesday night that I already drank. So I've had this week. I've had so much wine that I had 3 bottles where I've left just this much enough for a glass, so I could by Friday have 3 different glasses to pick from and not get maggot off one bottle, and then have a whole nother bottle to go into. But then on Wednesday night, I drank a whole bottle with Tyler and finished off 2 of the little half bottles. So I was like,
I need a new one. I better drink half a bottle.
This was about here on Wednesday night, and I drank it down to about here.
It's making it debber.
Oh no, it was Tuesday night. It was Tuesday night after we did the movie. The Q&A that we did.
Ah, yes, your little Zoom thing.
Yes, and I drank wine the whole time in it. I was like,
stupid bitch.
I was the only person drinking.
Yeah, Vinny would have been on a water.
He was. So what are you drinking, stupid bitch?
Well, you stupid bitch. You are going to know this one. It is definitely a naked. It's a Sauvignon Blanc Semillon. But it's boy meets girl.
I hate Semillons. I can't believe you drink them.
Yeah, it's grand, especially at this point. So I picked a cheaper bottle for the second episode. It's double podcast recording tonight, even though you're getting it week by week. So I picked the cheaper bottle as my second vino to get into because I thought the harsher taste would be easier to do on a more drunken palate.
Yes, because it's always the second ep where we're drunkest.
Yes. And I have to say, when you were saying about, I think last couple of episodes about me drinking red and red wine gets me fucked. I'm feeling pretty fucked after that bottle of rosé and the white. I'd be a lot more sober if I was drinking red right now.
Do you know what? Fucking Queensland summer, mate. You can fuck right off.
And it's a particularly hot one. We haven't had the storms really yet, have we?
It's definitely cooled down this week though compared to last week. Like it's 1,000 times cooler. Like it's actually, Great. You can deal with it. Like I walked the dog this morning for the first time in nearly 2 weeks because it's just been too hot.
Yeah, you're gonna die.
And I get up at 4. I get up at 4:30 to walk him.
And it's too hot.
Well, it's not. Today was beautiful. This morning was gorgeous. It was just so nice out, and so breezy. But
so what time do you go to bed to wake up at 4:30?
I still go to bed at like 11.
Wow.
12, sometimes 1.
Jesus.
But so my friend who has a baby, she always marvels at how little sleep I can survive on.
Function off.
I think it's just like an overlap from when Link was little. And because I was doing it on my own, I pretty much survived on 2-3 hour average a night. So, you know,
you've been able to sustain at that level of sleep.
And as you get older, they say that you need, like you get
less sleep. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Anyway, we're already digressing.
And we haven't even got to How's Your Week, Ben.
And we haven't even got to How's Your Week, Ben. So you go first. How's your week, Ben, stupid bitch? I've been talking this whole time.
Week has been good. So I'm going to talk about a couple of TV shows tonight. My first one is called Physical 100 that's on Netflix at the moment. Have you seen it?
Fuck, you bring out some random shit. I've not even heard of it.
It's actually taking Netflix by storm. So it's a South Korean reality show that's more of a competition type show. And it has 100, starts off with 100 insanely fit people battling it out to see who's the strongest out of the 100.
You are drunk, you're slurring your words.
Am I? But they're from
like
all different
Biggest
backgrounds.
Loser.
Well, not really.
But on a larger scale.
No, because they're all really like just muscle. There's no fat on them.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so and then they're all from different backgrounds. So you've got bodybuilders, cage fighters, baseball players, YouTubers, actors, and shit like that.
You really will watch any type of reality TV, won't you?
This is fantastic. And so it totally gives off Squid Game vibes.
Yeah.
But not as lethal, like people don't die if they don't make the round. And each round, even though a round of eliminations may go over 2 episodes, each round seems to halve the competitors. So like you go from 100 and then after the first series of eliminations, you get down to 50.
Right.
It'll be down to 25. So currently I'm at the second sort of round. Was that your ass?
How dare you? No, it was not. No fucking dare you.
There was like a low mumbled growl in the background.
Because I live on a main fucking road, okay? You can relate to that. You lived on fucking Lytton Road for half your fucking life.
Well, for about fucking 3 years.
Seemed like half your life. I hated that fucking road.
So I'm currently at the stage where we're going through the second big elimination, going from 50 to 25.
You're going to say Olympics then, weren't you?
But the best part, for some reason, for me, is the actual terrible dubbing that they've done to make it in English. So like you're seeing, it's a South Korean show. So you're seeing all these insanely fit people talking and whatever. So you got the contestants watching the challenges as they're happening and shit from the sidelines, but they might remark about someone's strength or physique to whoever they're talking with, and that person agrees. But when they put it in English, it's like, so an example would be something like, I would hate to be his enemy. And then the other person will reply, his enemies must hate him. Or look at her body, it's insane. And the other person will reply, it's insane how her body is. Shit like that. Like, it's so bad, it's fantastic. It's like a car crash that you can't look away from, and it does Vinny's head in when I watch it, but it's just fucking like, it's a perfect Sunday hangover thing. I'm like, interesting. Ooh. And the other thing I want to talk about is a maths update. Have you done any of it? You haven't done a single thing. Well, it's too late.
So what I was going to say to you is that we're nearly at the end of the first episode of Survivor. So I told you that it was.
You're nearly at the end of the first episode of Survivor.
Give me a break. Sake,
there's 6. Cut Medium out of the picture for at the moment. Medium is no longer allowed.
I have like zero time to watch TV. I don't even check my phone. Have you noticed how long it takes me to respond to messages lately?
During the day I have, yes. But don't tell me you've got no time for TV. You're watching Medium. You're like, and then I'm watching Medium from start.
Well, no, because the other thing that I forgot to put on the list tonight, that I really need to talk about, and it's going to bump some other stuff, is the fact that Tyler's convinced me to watch The Last of Us.
I want to watch that too, but we're watching that after we watch Yellowstone. But I'm going to talk about the couples of maths. now.
Mm.
So Alyssa and Duncan.
Keep it brief though, because I haven't watched it yet. I will catch up.
Alyssa and Duncan are kind of a boring couple. He's hot AF. Bronte and Harrison, you've heard about Harrison. Harrison's like this gaslighting fucking fuck boy. And his story, their story just keeps getting fucking worse and worse.
Love that.
Caitlin
like the Texan and the actress from last season.
Yes. Well, this is, and then there's Caitlin and Shannon. Caitlin's this beautiful doll where makeup really, really works for her. And he's a complete fuckwit that's fucking her around. Claire and Jesse, you're going to hate Jesse. He has an ick list that involves girls who don't like star signs, and she's into star signs. Janelle and Adam, oh God, the fucking red flags that come from Adam. He's into cryptocurrency and running a website of competitions. She asks him if he's poor, basically, and he gets offended, but he is. Lyndon and Cameron.
People, if they're poor?
Well, she just says, do you have any security in your job life at all? And he gets very offended. Lyndall and Cameron, they're basically the same person, facially, hair color, all that stuff. So they're the boring couple that love each other. Melinda and Leighton. So I actually know, so do you know Dana, who lives in our complex? She came to Pride with us.
Yes.
She knows Melinda through a friend of a friend. She comes across as a real hard bitch at the beginning, but she's actually quite good. Then there's Melissa and Josh. And this Melissa Bird, they're the older couple of the season. Melissa is, and she says it about 12 times in the very first episode. I'm a freak in the sheets. I'm a freak in the sheets. I'm a freak in the sheets. See me, I'm going to fuck my husband on the first night because I'm a freak in the sheets. And they've matched him with this guy who's able to perform, but like when they're listing their top 5, hers is just sex, and all this shit.
Is that the blonde one where there's the video and he's like, yes. Oh, I'm not going to talk about it, and she's like, oh yeah, we fucked.
Yes, yeah, pretty much. So she's like, yeah, we did it, and then
I really want to see that.
She gets up in because he said to them, oh no, we haven't been intimate yet. And he's like, I want to keep some things personal. She goes, but you lied. We have rooted. You've lied. You've lied. She is bananas. She is absolutely bananas. And the last episode, so this week it was Confessions Week, and he reads this whole big sort of confession and it pours a heart out to her. He's a single dad, and he's saying like, he had a bit of an identity crisis throughout the whole thing. You may be able to relate, I don't know. And he was saying like, he went from being a husband and a father to just a father. And then he had like the child on not supervised visits, on fucking, what do they call it? Not split parenting, fucking
shared
care. And he said like, and I would feel lonely when the kids weren't there and blah, blah, blah. And then she goes, he pours his heart out in this letter and she goes, okay, is it my turn? So I like to have sex a lot. I came out of a marriage that was where I ended up being a roommate with my partner, and he's just like, I just spared this whole thing. I won't give any more details away because it gets fucking just chaos. Yeah, it's very good. You're going to enjoy it. So how's your week been?
So what was I going to talk about? Let me think. Okay, so my week's been great, just very busy. I had Tuesday night, I had to do the Q&A for the independent film that I'm in.
Yes.
Which comes out in a couple of weeks. So Wednesday, I was a little bit hungers going into work. Nothing that I couldn't deal with, but a little bit like I had to have a quick Barocca before I left the house kind of situation. But I was fine once I got there.
And a couple of almond milk mockers.
Yes, I love my almond milk mockers or my almond milk flat whites with a shot of hazelnut plus. But Wednesday night, it was the sign-on night for the rugby. So I finished work at 4, flew up to rugby at Redland Bay, cooked a barbecue for about 150 people.
Wow.
Ran the canteen till about 10 o'clock, serving drinks.
Did you love it?
Filled lolly bags, stocked up all the chips that I'd ordered.
They're the best part of those
the whole thing,
is getting the 50-cent mixed bag, or are they $1.50 now?
I had a few people come in. Oh, look, I made prices, different lollies, different prices, depending on how much was in the bag, depending on how much money we're going to make.
Yeah.
So it's very carefully, prepared.
Constructed,
It's
yeah.
all about making money. So last year they made $10,000 in the canteen. I'm going to make more than that this year. So help me God. But it was very trying after already a very busy week. And then but I was getting really excited because I love the beginning of football season because it starts to get a little bit cooler. They were giving away all their really old merch that they hadn't sold in previous years for a gold coin donation, but I don't have to pay because I'm a committee member. So I just went up and went, I'm going to have this. I'm going to take this. So I've already got like some merch from last season's, but now I'm like fully kitted with like all the OG merch as well. So I'll be like wearing them. So, and I was saying to Tyler, as much as it's super hard work at the moment, when footy season actually starts and there's football games on and everyone's like in the mood, like I love it. It's going to be so much fun. I'm actually really excited, but it is taking over my life in many ways.
Okay, so we're going to get into the articles of this evening's topic. What's the haps? So first off, I will continue on with what you were sort of touching on with your Zoom meeting on Tuesday. So the hot premiere, hanging on the telephone, please. So we both were privy to the preview of the full film of the new Westgum Productions short movie,
which was amazing.
Hanging on the Telephone, starring none other than our very own stupid bitch Sky as Candy.
I'm in it for about 2 minutes, guys.
You're in it, and that's the main thing. And my husband Vinny as one of the movie's protagonists, Jimmy the pervert. The premiere is happening on 4th of March, which is very exciting. So just give you a quick little overview of the movie. The movie is about an obscene phone caller, Jimmy, getting more than he bargained for when he unexpectedly reconnects with a woman from long ago. Over the course of one night, they must face an incident from their past with disastrous consequences. And
I love that summary.
I got that straight from the fucking Westgum site, Facebook page. But yeah, it was fantastic. They did a great job. You all did amazing with your acting and just the whole editing and everything of it. And the promotion
the editing was next level.
Has been fantastic.
The soundtrack was next level.
The soundtrack is fucking amazing. It's so good.
It's so cool. Very, very cool. I'm very excited to see.
All right, so now that was kind of a joint story, so I'm going to go into my next one because I think I've got more than you.
Can we do the Inbred Family?
No, not yet. I'm saving that as a fucking real belligerent one.
Also, apologies to our listeners because I'm feeling pretty fucking wasted right now.
I'm also on the hinge of incoherence. So with that being said, the first one I want to talk about is Prince Harry's book Spare and the revelations that have come from that.
So I don't know a lot about this, I'm just going to say, but we are completely revolted by everything that's happened pre-leading up to this. So you can either change my mind or make it worse for me.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I'm not sure which side of the fence you lean on based on that statement. But I was pro Harry Meghan and now I'm kind of off them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I was pro. So I had a party. I don't know if you remember this, but it was my 31st, I think it was, whenever they got married. And it was when I was on the Central Coast. I just moved there. And it was my birthday. And we had...
For your 31st? You stupid bitch. You went down there on your 31st.
It must be my 39th. It would have been my 39th, actually. It wasn't my 40th because my 40th was one that got cancelled due to COVID. And we had a royal wedding party and we all wore shirts. Did you not remember this on Facebook? So we had shirts and it was Harry and Meghan forever. The royal princess on the back. We all wore tiaras. We had gloves on.
Oh, yes.
White
I do
gloves.
Remember this now, yeah.
We drank out of little like champagne flutes and we pretty much all got really drunk. Just girls. This is before Tyler and I were together. Maybe it was my 38th or something, actually. It was when the first year I was there. And it was just girls, and we watched the royal wedding, getting drunker and drunker and drunker, and just screaming at the TV through the whole thing. But we were all like pro Megan, like, oh my god, she looks amazing. Look at all the superstars there. Oh my god, they're like the perfect couple. But
sounds awesome.
I hate them.
Yeah, I'm not fans of them now. So as you would know, Harry's memoir, Spare, has caused a bit of a stir. There's stuff that's like meh, where he admits he experimented with cocaine, magic mushrooms, and cannabis, please. It's like, we've all been there. And then the other thing, there was before, because I didn't have this in my write-up, one of the other things that really annoyed me about the thing was when he talks about his fight with his brother, where it became physical. And
where he pushed him or something.
Yeah, he pushed. It's like, get over yourself. Do you know how many siblings actually rip the fucking hair from the roots from their head or throw darts at each other?
Have you ever had a fight over Lego or
knives
marbles?
or knives stuck up against their throat, when their mum walks in and shit like that, like whatever. So anyway, the 38-year-old royal says he took psychedelics for recreation and therapeutic reasons, which I can get.
Sure.
Additionally, revealing that he smoked cannabis since he was a teenager. Harry writes that drugs allowed him to see another world where the red mist didn't exist. Harry reveals how he also reveals how he lost his virginity to an older woman. He writes that the woman in question liked macho horses and treated him like a young stallion. When the encounter ended, he reportedly writes, "She spanked my ass and sent me on my way." Lol. I've seen articles since where the woman has been identified.
Oh, it's so vanilla, isn't it? It's
very
like
vanilla.
So vanilla, trying to pretend that it's like so outrageous. It's like,
because he's a royal. Yeah, exactly. Like, you're still a human. You shit and you eat.
Please, that's my life before I was 25.
But he does. So the woman has since been identified, and she mentioned that little Spare is above average in size. Another one I found interesting was when he was 23 and in Paris. Now, this one I did find interesting. He was in Paris for the 2007 Rugby World Cup semi-final, and he asked his driver to replicate Diana's final journey before her death.
Oh.
So during the trip, Harry asked his driver to take him to the tunnel where his mother, Princess Diana, died in the car crash in 1997, alongside her then partner, Dodi Al-Fayed. He reportedly writes that he remembers cruising past the Ritz where Mummy had her last meal before entering the Pont de la Alma tunnel. He said they drove at the same speed as the car she was in, which was 65 miles per hour, not 120 miles per hour, which the press reported at the time. And then he says, we zipped ahead, went over the lip at the tunnel's entrance, the bump that supposedly sent Mummy's Mercedes veering off course, but the lip was nothing. We barely felt it, Harry reportedly wrote. The unusual request did not bring Harry any closure. Harry adds, concluding that it was overall a very bad idea. Vinny and I went through that tunnel a few times when we were over there last year, and I think Vinny actually pointed out the pylon that she was meant to have hit and caused the crash, because he counted the number of pylons along. But yeah, it's eerie, and there's a monument dedicated to out the front of the tunnel called the Flame of Liberty. And it's like this big sort of flame.
Because imagine if they put it like on the part in the tunnel where she died. Like, imagine how much congestion would be in there. Like, if they told you where it happened, you'd never be able to get through that fucking tunnel.
Because everyone would be slowing down. But isn't that interesting where he says they went over the lip at the same time and they felt nothing? So that adds to the whole conspiracy theory of it wasn't.
If it was a different speed, but like, he was a child, he knows, like, it's all, you only know what you know based on what happened. You know what I mean? Like,
and it was 10 years afterwards that he did this, which was 16 years ago. And
the roads would have been different too. Like, you don't know. Like, that doesn't mean shit to me.
And
wasn't
the driver under the influence?
I can't remember, to be fair, but I remember that the paparazzi chasing them was an element in that. So he may have been distracted by it all. Of, you know, at the end of the day, you know, she died. So did he.
Tragically.
And did the driver die as well?
No, he was the only one who survived because he was the only one wearing a seatbelt.
Right. But I could actually understand doing that if your mother had gone in such a way when you were a
Totally.
child, like trying to reenact it to
Yes.
understand it and be closer to the situation a bit more, especially once you're an adult, like still trying to understand it. Like I can understand that, but
and it was 13 years ago when he did it too, 16 years ago, so he was still
it's never going to give you closure.
That's what he says. He realized now that it was a bad idea. He also reportedly recounts how he learnt about his mother's death from his father. So what he says is, Pa didn't hug me. He wasn't great at showing emotions under normal circumstances.
They weren't huggers.
How could he be expected to show them in such a crisis? But his hand did fall on my knee once more. His hand did fall once more on my knee, and he said, it's going to be okay. And that was quite a lot for Prince Charles to do at the time. It's interesting, though, as you said, like, especially after watching The Crown and understanding the whole institution they have, and it's not a family, seeing the lack of personal affection the Queen had with her kids, especially Charles, which he's now passing on to his boys. And I just hope that Willie shows a bit more love to his successor and spares than his dad showed to him. And, you know, and it's, who knows?
It's fucking sad, isn't it? It's all really sad.
Because you think it's all this fucking glamorous thing, but obviously they're all still people.
I don't think that at all. I think if I was
from the public's view, it's like a glamorous thing.
I'd be Princess Margaret, 100%.
Oh yeah, totally. That's Vinny too. Vinny's Princess Margaret.
I'd be like fucking running arm Mark. Tyler says I'm the Queen all the time. It's like, you'd know your duty and you'd do it well. But I think I'd be like going, fuck this, not fucking shit. I'll do what I want. I'll marry who I want. I'll fucking drink when I want. I won't just have a little tipple at dinner. I'll have fucking 8 bottles if I want. And you will carry me to bed.
And I will have a vape in my hand.
You servants, you can all take a sign and get me into my bed.
Have you finished The Crown yet?
Yeah, we finished. Yeah, we totally. I cannot wait for the next season. Yeah, same. It's so good.
So interesting, isn't it?
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
All right, your next one. And, okay. You'll be pleased to know in my line of stories, the Inbred Family is next.
Excellent. I cannot wait. Well, I was going to talk about a bunch of different things, but I'm actually going to talk about The Last of Us. So we had a conversation last weekend because Tyler had already watched the first 3 episodes, I believe, were out now. There's 4. Yeah. And because it's about, zombies, I guess.
And it's been rated as zombies. The best adaptation of a computer game to a TV series ever.
Yes, I knew nothing about the game, never heard of it.
Neither.
Knew nothing about it. All you see when you open anything on the internet, though, Facebook, whatever, is like how it's amazing it is. Yeah. Like it's just all through the media. Anyway, so Tyler had watched the first 3 episodes and then he played the game. I think the game came out 10 years ago, maybe older. So he played the game when it first came out a long time ago, but decided after watching the show and loving it that he'd start playing the game again. And so we were in bed.
So he's just started playing it recently.
Because so I think there's heaps more newer versions as well. Like he played the original version that came out, but now it's got more stuff. I think. I could be wrong on that. I don't really know. I don't understand games. Or maybe there's more continuation, do you know what I mean? There's more stuff on it. But so he was playing this game and I was sort of on my phone, or I was doing something else in bed and I was sort of half watching what he was doing. And he had said to me when he was watching, he was like, you'd actually really like this show, Sky. And I was like, I've got so many shows, too many shows.
Right now, I can't do any more shows. Yeah.
So, and then I was watching him play the game and I was intrigued by what was happening on the game. So the game pretty much starts. He was at the very beginning where the girl's a little bit mad at her dad because he's a single parent and he's not really around because he's working all the time and it's his birthday, and she writes this letter to him saying, like an angry letter, basically saying, you're never there. And then I think she's going to give it to him and then she has second thoughts and then she stops. But as soon as she doesn't, she's written the letter in the game And then the shit happens, like it all just goes to shit, right? And then that happens, and the dad comes, like she gets a call from her uncle just freaking out, going, you need to get your dad on the phone, you need to get your dad on the phone, like right now. And then she realizes her dad's not in the house. She thought he was asleep and he's not. And then she freaks out, and the next thing her dad rocks up to the house just freaking out. And then I was like, I actually think I want to watch this show. So Tom was like, if you're going to watch it, I'll rewatch it with you.
Yeah, that's like Vinny with Yellowstone with me. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's put it on. So this is on the weekend. And we were a little bit hungover. I think this is on Sunday. I was like, fine. So I put it on. And it's very similar in ways to The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
But the zombies are really weird in this. Like, I'm not really picking up the vibe of the zombies because they have these things that come out of their mouths that it's like a fungus. It's super gross. It's way grosser than The Walking Dead. But anyway, it is very good. And I love Pedro Pascal because he's the guy from Game of Thrones. Adored him in Game of Thrones.
Me
Ever
too.
since Game of Thrones, I follow him on Instagram.
Fuck you, Mountain.
He's best friends with Sarah Paulson. Did you know that? They're super close. They hang out all the time, and they've known each other for years as well, way before Game of Thrones. Like they somehow crossed paths. I don't know where they did, but they've known each other for a really long time. Besties, and I just thought that just really intrigued me. So I've always followed him, and I really love him. And so I started watching it, and it is great.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to watching it, but we're getting through Yellowstone first.
It can be slow too. Like there's lots of slow, which is a little bit like Walking Dead too. Like there's lots of slow parts where you're like, what's really happening? Like get on with it a bit. But he's an amazing actor, Pedro. It's amazing to me after Game of Thrones that he hasn't done much more.
Yeah.
Because he's so great. He's so charismatic and he's so great looking. Like I just think he's gorgeous. For an older fella.
No, I agree. And it's funny because with Yellowstone, like that's the premise of the TV show of Yellowstone is something I would not traditionally ever find any interest in.
I was the same.
I'm fucking loving it. And Vinny is the same with zombies. That is something that he is just not interested in at all. But I'm hoping that The Last of Us is going to actually be something that he's going to buy into and be.
Well, you've got to get him to the third episode. If you can get him to that third episode, which is the gay episode,
it's like Game of Thrones. Yeah,
you'll be right because that episode is actually
you've seen
pretty amazing. Yeah, but I also really, really love what's Ron Swanson in real life. I also follow him on Instagram, and I've lost his name. Oh, what's his name? I can't even think of it. Such a great episode.
Ron Swanson?
In Parks and Recs, the gruff guy that plays the saxophone.
Oh yeah. He's married to fucking
Karen from Will and Grace. Yeah. So I can't think of his name in real life. I can't believe I can't remember his name in real life. But it's such a cool episode. The way they set it up, everything that happens in it, you'll just be like, it's so beautiful. It's beautiful.
Nick Offerman.
That's it.
Yeah. You know, I'm looking forward to watching it. And I think because we're going to be doing 5 seasons of Yellowstone, I should be able to get 2 seasons out of Vinny before we go to the next one, which will be Last of Us, which should be out in full by that stage. And I really want to watch Poker Face, I think it is.
Oh, with the redhead chick from American Pie.
Yes.
I want to watch that too.
Because that's getting rave reviews too. Yeah. Very good. Well, it's good to know because I'm keen to watch The Last of Us.
Okay, tell me about the Inbred Family.
Okay. So this is the most inbred family in the US documentary. So this is one of those.
Not the X-Files one.
No, God, that fucked me up. And I was living at Mains Road in Wellington Point, that shithole of a house in the middle of nowhere by myself when I watched that episode. And I remember going to bed terrified, absolutely terrified.
Do you know we've actually talked about that in a couple of episodes?
Because it's that fucking.
It always comes back.
Do you know it? Like, I think it's banned in a few countries, that episode now. Yeah. Which isn't surprising.
Very dark episode.
It's probably based on these people. So this was one of those random articles that appeared on Facey or Instagram about a documentary on the most inbred family in America, the Whitakers, called Inbred Family. So obs, my interest.
Where's it on Netflix? Did you say?
No, it came up on Facey or Instagram. I remember
okay.
seeing like an article about it. I think it's on YouTube, free to view. So obs, my interest was piqued, please, and I had to investigate further into it. So first of all, it looks like there have been some follow-up films or documentaries made to Inbred Family.
Okay.
And one of them is even called Breakfast with the Whitakers.
Yummy.
I wouldn't want to eat that. The filmmaker, Mark Later, described his experience with the family as being like a scene out of the movie Deliverance. Have you ever seen Deliverance? It's got like
no, but I know the storyline.
It's pretty much family of ferals coming to kill people. But when he first reached out to the Whitakers about filming them for a documentary, he was promptly threatened by their protective neighbours. However, the filmmaker was soon escorted by a police officer to meet the family, who live in a rural village in West Virginia named, have a guess what the rural village is called. What type of family are they? Like
Inbred.
Inbred, but the village is called Odd. O-double-D.
I love that.
He goes on to say, we came around to this road, which turns into a country road, which turns into a dirt road. And we came to this trailer, and then a little shack on the other side of the road. And there's these people walking around, and their eyes are going in different directions, and they are barking at us. And like you see the picture, and there's a picture of a guy, his one eye's that way and one eye's completely the other way. And then one guy, you would look at him in the eye or say anything, and he would just scream and go running away. And his pants would fall around his ankles, and he'd go running off and go and kick a garbage can. And this would happen over and over. It was out of control, the craziest thing I'd ever seen. Ooh, indeed. The Whitakers, who are known as America's most inbred family, have no education and live in squalor in an isolated shack in the back country, which is cut off from civilization. It's actually quite sad when you think about it, because some of the family members were only able to speak in grunts or squeals and appeared to be suffering with physical and mental health conditions. After much persuasion, the family...
But I guess they've known nothing different, right?
100%.
So you don't know what you don't know, I guess.
Exactly. And after much persuasion, the family finally allowed Later to take some photos after he offered to take a portrait for them to place in the casket of a loved one. The film was soon posted to his YouTube channel named Soft White Underbelly, and it shows him speaking to the siblings Betty, Lorraine, and Ray, and cousin Timmy. When asked, Betty doesn't say if her parents were related, and says she didn't know why Ray, Lorraine, and Timmy had disabilities. So he says, there is no way I would be able to confirm that the Whitaker parents were related, but given that this does happen in this part of the country, and the Whitakers are the most extreme case I've ever seen so far, I would bet that inbreeding was at least partly responsible for the mental and physical abnormalities seen in Lorraine, Freddie, Ray, and Timmy. When Later revisited the family and shot a follow-up video a year later, Betty confirmed with him that their parents were double first cousins. Have you ever heard of a double first cousin? What that means? So I had to Google it because I hadn't either. So what a double first cousin is, I hear you ask? Well, double first cousins are first cousins, but twice. They share both sets of grandparents, and this can happen when both parents of one double first cousin are also the sibling of parents of another double first cousin. And it can happen when two siblings meet and have offsprings for 2 other siblings.
That's just baffling my mind. I can't even do the maths to that.
I have read that 17 times and I still can't picture the family tree. When asked why their eyes don't point forward, Kenneth, one of the Whitakers, says, "Oh, it might be coal mining."
It's interesting that she couldn't answer, but then a year later she can. It's like she's thought about the question and
I
gone.
think she was hiding it. I think she was.
Or maybe she's thought about it and.
Or maybe asked after.
Tried to figure out what he was trying to ask and gone, actually.
Yeah, this is what they were.
This is what it is. Because she didn't really understand because she'd never thought about it from that perspective.
Because it's always been, that's the way. They're always siblings are rooting siblings. And so some light that does come out of the whole situation. So through his videos, Later has helped the Whitaker family to raise money to pay repairs and improvements at their home. And the fundraising is still ongoing as he is now trying to buy them a new house. Will you be watching it?
Oh, I think it's a bit too sad for me.
I don't think it'll have the natural charm of Grey Gardens.
No, I was thinking about the documentary that Grey Gardens did pop into my head a couple of times then. Oh, I don't know. I think it'll just make me feel really sad.
Yeah, I think it'll be a bit too much for me too.
Wowzers.
Hectic. What's your next one as well?
Well, really, like, it's the whole thing about Madonna's face is that I think we talked about this in last season's podcast. We'd seen a photo and we were talking about the 80s, I think. I can't remember exactly what podcast episode it was on, but we were talking about how there was this photo where her face looked a little bit like it does at the moment at the Grammys, but it wasn't as...
Yeah, cat-like.
Yes, it wasn't as cat-like, but it was smooth face. And it was like, that's not Madonna's face. And everyone was talking about it back then. So it's gone even worse, I think. But, the internet's torn between people just going, oh, my God, that's shocking. And then there's people like, why is it so... It's such an issue. Such an issue, like, do what you want to your face. At the end of the day, she's getting old. If that makes her happy.
Did you see what she said about in retaliation to it?
I didn't read the full bit because I didn't fully understand it. And I just glossed over it, but she was just basically saying, I think, she saying?
She's saying like it's ageism, what's happening to her.
Well, that's what all the articles are saying.
And then she said, this is what happens when you use when a photographer uses a telescopic lens, it zooms in from so far away and sees that. If she says no one looks good in that environment.
I think that's a bit rich though. Like, I think
that's a defense mechanism.
Yeah,
she has had a lot of work done where she doesn't look, and she's doing a tour. Have you seen that? A world tour.
Yes, I did see that. And look, I would go, depending on how much she's going to charge, though. I imagine she's going to charge a ridiculous amount if she comes to Australia.
Yeah. She was one of the first concerts I ever went to, Madonna.
I've never seen her live. If she's going to do her old stuff, I'm 100% there. If she's going to do new stuff, I'm not interested.
Yeah. It's like a Mariah Carey. I'll go for your old shit, but not for
new shit. I'll go for her old. If she plays one or two newies, like, I get that. Like, if she's going to go, it's Madonna Revisited or something like that from the old stuff, and then, chuck in a new one here and there. That's cool. That's cool. They all do that.
I think that's what the concept of the tour is. I think it's like a final world tour, basically. Mm-hmm. So she'd have to do Like a Prayer and Like a Virgin and...
Yeah, but I guess it comes into the whole debate of like how much is too much that you put in your face, and when you've got a certain amount of money, like what's actually what they will do to you. Like, it goes past a point, I think, where it's just like preventative cosmetic stuff. Where you're actually getting your face like
you're turning yourself into a fucking
chunks out like that surgically, and making it completely different. But
it doesn't look natural at all.
No, it doesn't. But I did read an article, and it was like, it's really hard for women to age, I guess. For me, look, we joke about getting old, and I joke about how I look younger than you all the time. But that's not a joke; it's reality.
Exactly.
But look, I was looking at my eyes actually, not with my puffy eyes. I was looking at my eyes
You
last
did
weekend.
look like Madonna then, I bet.
And I've noticed my nan, who is in her 90s now, right? She's in her early 90s, and sorry, she's not yet 90. She's probably 89 actually, to be fair. But she's always had like these hollow things above her eyes, which she obviously never had. It's part of your face changing as you age.
Yeah.
But I've noticed the hollowness that's happened above my
It's like
eyelids.
a sunken look.
Like my eyelids bit, and I was looking at it in the mirror on the weekend, and I was just sort of pulling my eyes around, and I hadn't noticed, because obviously it's a gradual thing that happens, and I was like, oh my God, my eyelids are starting to be a bit sunken. And it's no big deal, but it's going to happen. Like, we're all going to age. I'm not going to do anything about it.
Hopefully we all do, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but I think there's so much pressure on women to look a certain way, especially if you're constantly on TV or in the media and stuff like that.
Of course,
so it's equally more important.
It's society has a lot to blame for that.
Oh, 100%. And they were saying, basically, I think they were doing a comparison with, Joe Biden, like he's looking after a country right now and looks like an old decrepit man, but people talk about him being old, but they don't talk about like his old face,
his physical features.
Exactly.
And a much better choice than Trump America.
But then they're talking about Madonna, who's a musical icon, who's changed the world in so many ways with her music and her charity work and the things that she's done, and in so many ways, but like she decides that she's not going to age, and maybe she's made some choices that other people wouldn't make. But all of a sudden
to make.
She's getting trolled because it's like, oh, your face looks weird, and but it's more about like, if it makes you happy, there's no denying her age.
And it's not putting you into debt, like major debt that you can't afford, then you do you, Barry.
Yeah, and I think she still gives back to charity in lots of ways. Like, she definitely donates a lot of money, and she cares about the environment and all that stuff. So she's like chucking in her millions here and there into like good stuff. It's like, let her go.
Do whatever she wants.
But there is no denying that she looks weird.
Yes, agreed.
It's messed up.
But again, you do you, Boo.
You do you, Boo. And if you come to Australia and you do your old hits, I'm there.
We'll do you, Barry.
I'll pay $300 for that shit, but I won't if you're only going to do your new stuff.
Yeah, agreed. I'll do the same.
But the other most notable thing for me for the Grammys is, did you hear about Bjork?
No, but that's interesting you mentioned that.
She was
part of my notes.
Oh, that's interesting. So she was nominated for the 16th time for a Grammy, and she's never won.
That is exactly my point.
Can you believe that? And I didn't even know that. I was like, are you serious? I didn't even realize has she won an Academy Award though?
No, I think she went to the Academies in the swan dress.
Yes.
Because she was in a movie. Nominated, she may have won it for an international artist or some shit, but she would have been nominated,
But that's insane to me, because she's crazy as fuck and weird as fuck. But like, I love her music.
Yeah, me too.
I love her
big time sensuality.
I love her, and I cannot believe she's been nominated 16 times. Like, do you know when you have to say, as awards people, when it gets to the point that someone gets nominated, like you don't want to pity vote either, but you also have to recognize that the people keep putting them forward.
Yes,
and it's not fair to not allow them to be awarded by the fact that they've been nominated so many times. They're obviously an amazing artist.
Well, you're going to love my segue into the Grammys, which I had, again, people at home, no consultation involved in our topics. But mine.
We love an awards show. We do. We love the outfits.
Well, so have you got more on the Grammys?
Not really, because it wasn't really as noteworthy as I thought, except there's a whole J-Lo Ben thing. I was like, that was I'm over them.
It's funny because I said to Vinny when the Grammys were on and we were watching the news and it was coming out with news on the Grammys, I said to him, do you remember as a child, or even like in my 20s, The Grammys, the Golden Globes, the Emmys, the Academy Awards, I watched religiously. I was invested. I went through all the fucking
Of course you
awards for
were.
sound engineers, all that shit to get to the big ones of best director, best actor, all of that shit. And he was like, no, we didn't really. But I used to really be invested. Now I couldn't give a shit. I'm just happy to look at the headlines of it.
I just love seeing their outfits too. I find the articles that say the outfits of, and I just scroll through them all. But 90, like now, I go through them, and 90% of the time I'm like, don't know them, don't know them,
Yes,
don't know them, don't know them, don't know them, don't know them. So there's like
and
a
then our
couple that
nieces
I
and
know.
nephews, and probably your son Link would all be like, "Oh, that's so and so, that's so and so, that's so and so." Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so as we know, the Grammys did take place recently, and Queen Bee made history as the person with the
that was something notable. Yeah, of course.
most Grammys of all time, with 32 of the awards. Noting she is still yet to receive Album of the Year as a Grammy Award. But I thought it might be interesting to do a quick review of artists that you would for sure think have won a Grammy, but in actuality, please, have not.
Okay.
So I'm going to list some artists. I want you to say if they've won a Grammy or not. First one being Björk.
Obviously not, you stupid bitch.
Nominated 16 times, no wins. What about Snoop Dogg?
I'm going to say no.
Nominated 16 times, no wins.
Oh, isn't that strange?
Yeah.
16 nominations, both of them, 16 nominations, and they're not.
And there would have been a smaller fucking category that they were nominated for that you could probably give them the win for.
But think of let's think of Snoop Dogg and the love that people have for him and the musical creations that he's made over his career and how much they've stood the test of time. The OG stuff as well. That's insane to me. But as soon as you said him, I was like, no, I don't recall him ever winning a Grammy.
What about Katy Perry?
Yes.
Nominated 13 times, no wins.
Oh, that surprises me. Okay.
How about Diana Ross?
Yes.
She received a Lifetime Achievement Award, but has won no Grammys.
Stop it.
Nicki Minaj.
Yes.
Nominated 10 times, no wins.
Well, I'm not really Nicki Minaj anyway, but I thought I saw her win one time because she's performed a number of times.
I think she's probably won an MTV Music Award, yeah.
Not the same thing, but anyway.
What about Sia?
Yes.
9 nominations, no wins. ABBA.
They were nominated this year, I know that much.
Yes.
But I'm going to say, well, it's American awards too, so I'm going to lean with maybe no.
No wins, and they only got their first nomination in this award last year.
Shut up, because it was very American though. It's an American award system.
Yeah.
You know how they feel about, especially in the early days when they were super successful, bringing in outsiders.
Yes. What about Queen?
I'm also going to put them in the ABBA category. They should have definitely had a Grammy, but I'm going to say, I don't know. Your face is saying yes.
But what do you say?
I'm saying that they definitely should have. I'm going to say yes.
They've had 4 nominations, no wins.
Again, because they're from the UK.
What about the Beach Boys?
Yes.
So they also got a Lifetime Achievement Award, but have won no Grammys.
Okay. Well, they're American, so that's surprising.
J-Lo?
Yes.
2 noms, no wins.
Oh!
Miley Cyrus?
Yes.
2 noms, no wins.
Oh, okay.
Jimi Hendrix?
No.
No wins.
Mm-mm.
So none of those people I've listed have won a Grammy.
So have you got who's the highlights of who's won over the last,
the
major ones?
I wanted to sort of make you say yes or no, but all of the ones I'd listed had no wins.
For no's.
Yeah.
You bitch.
She just rimmed her glass with a bottle.
What's Treminina?
Oh, mama, baby. Get ready, people. We're about to get into fucking... Oh, that was what I was going to talk about in last episode that I forgot. Eurovision fever. So last Saturday...
Yeah, this is way better than your fucking AI subject.
Oh, that I think is fascinating. Last Saturday, the four of us, me, Tyler,
Bleeding on
Sky,
long enough
Vinny,
about it, but
watched Ireland Decides, basically, on who's going to represent them. And we were very happy, were we not? She's got an earring on her nose. It looks like a big schnot's coming out. Sneeze.
Achoo.
You dumb bitch. We were very happy with the result that came through. What was it? What was the song?
It was very close.
You are one.
We are unique.
We are one. Anyway, it's very good. What's your next subject, you stupid fucking bitch?
Just let me have a look. Okay, sir.
I've only got one more after this too.
Sir. My other one's just Pamela Anderson.
Go.
The new Netflix show that I haven't seen, but it's all over the internet at the moment, and they're talking about a revelation of what it is and about how she's like, you know, this woman who has never really had a voice, and her voice has been, you know, discolored by exactly yes and discolored by her choices, you know, over the years and stuff like that.
Of being very proud about her body, and
and it has 100% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes now. Yeah, I know, which is insane. I didn't even know you could get that. Like, that just seems crazy to me. But I want to read just one part of her memoirs. Let me just find it. So it's about the fact that, so do you remember the sex tape between her and Tommy Lee? And they were together, they were married, some guy broke into their house. No, the sex tape.
Yeah, but
not their relationship. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to read this bit, but it really, like, I really felt this statement actually. So about that sex tape, the tape Anderson made with her then husband, Tommy Lee, was meant to be private. In 1995, Rand Gauthier, a construction worker who said that Lee stiffed him on the bill for a house renovation, stole the tape from their home and shortly began to sell access to it over the internet. Anderson and Lee sued Gauthier and everyone who seemed to be involved in its distribution. The couple eventually dropped the suit, apparently exhausted by the legal wrangling. In court, Gauthier's lawyers argued that Anderson had no right to privacy because she was a Playboy star.
Wow.
She had exposed her naked body to the world before of her own free will, and so she should have no problem with it being exposed now against her will.
So for the rest of her life, that's what she's subject to.
The legal argument here was that by having ever been naked in public on her own terms, Anderson had revoked her right to consent. She had become that kind of woman, the kind of woman who did not deserve privacy.
And what year was this?
This was... So the court case continued and they ended up dropping the suit. So he stole it in 1995.
That's the 90s. Isn't that shocking?
Because
that's what women's rights
had willingly exposed her body to the public through Playboy. That meant that he could steal something from her property that was a private moment between her and her husband at the time.
She's forever labelled.
And make money off it.
Yes.
And they had no claim to be able to persecute him
fucking disgusting
because of that. Isn't that despicable?
That is fucking rotten.
Oh,
and do you know what's even worse?
Makes me feel sick.
Do you know what's even worse is back then there would have been a large majority of people that agreed with him.
Oh.
That's fucking despicable.
He stole it from their home because they stiffed it.
A private moment. Who
cares about the stiffing the bill? It could be. I'm sure it's true. He was a bit of a dick, the old Tommy Lee. But there's no. How could a lawyer?
So she has absolutely no rights. Yeah. Now because she did a Playboy.
No rights to any type of privacy because she chose to willingly show her body for a paid publication in which she chose the terms of how they were going to display it and got rewarded financially for it, that her body became therefore public property and she could never make money off it after that. If other people tried to, what's the word? Like not victimize. What's the word I'm talking about?
Blackmail.
Take advantage of that situation.
Slut shaming.
Had lost her right because she had done it willingly.
That is fucking disgraceful.
Isn't that despicable?
Yeah. That's when law becomes such a fucking gross fucking conduct, isn't it?
Well, it's also in America. So, no offense to our American listeners, because,
that would have happened over here, I reckon, at the same time. There would have been such stigma around that type of stuff. And especially a woman taking charge of her body and celebrating her own body, becoming a skank that everyone could then just shit on. It's fucked up.
She was that woman.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
That type of woman.
That is revolting.
Isn't it? I found that, and I was already going to talk about it, and I only researched that this afternoon. I read that bit, and I was like, "Are you fucking serious?" So that's what a lawyer stood up in court and said as his defense. Not surprising.
Yeah.
And they abandoned the lawsuit because it was so exhausting, and they were spending so much money trying to fight it,
and also causing so much fucking trauma. Like, imagine you having to go through a lawsuit where someone's throwing that on you and a lot of people agreeing with the fact. You'd be like, oh, fuck it, just...
Yeah, because she got her tits out. And because, she was on Baywatch running with her boobs.
And she had a fucking banging body.
Banging body.
Yeah.
But
Poor bitch. Do you know why she made
that?
Do you know why she made this special?
To retaliate from the Tommy, Pamela and Tommy. But as I was reading it, it's sort of the same situation as The Crown. It's like where they made it without their approval, and it's a version of. So I don't know how they get away with that legally, because it baffles me that they could do The Crown as much as I love The Crown. Like, I don't want them ever to not stop doing The Crown because I love it so much. But it baffles me that they can get away with telling it and depicting the people where it's fictional, but
based on
it's the same thing. The Tommy and Pamela show, the Netflix series that they had, is the exact
based on true events.
A lot of times, though, and so they referenced the American true crime Monica Lewinsky.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton, but they said the difference between that is that Monica Lewinsky was a producer. Like
of course, yeah, but there's plenty of movies where they've done retellings of stories where the people aren't. Like, so the other chick that's in that impeachment, you still haven't watched it, have you?
No, I will. I promise you I will, because I want to.
Obsessed. Paula, the one that who first brought the charges against Bill Clinton.
Because I told you we watched the House of Gucci the other week, didn't I?
No, but Paula Jones, who's in impeachment as well, who was the first person that pushed the charges against Bill Clinton for sexual harassment. She wasn't an executive producer on the show, and she didn't like the way her character was developed. So, so there's always that stuff.
And so they have no rights then?
Well, they have... I guess what they're taking their rights from is what's already public domain, which is probably what that fucked up lawyer was trying to say. But like stuff that's in the newspapers or stuff that's in fucking...
But it's still their life. Like, I get that. I get that it's in the public forum already. But the way they put it together in a story is still presenting a narrative that they don't have a say in. So, yes, there's public record and things that they've said, but the emotion that they play on when they're telling that story is still a narrative that they're not involved in about their life. Like,
and that's probably how they get
that's okay or legal.
Because they probably get away with it by saying some components of this story is fictional based on true events or whatever. It's like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is based off Ed Gein. No one had a fucking chainsaw.
Yeah, but they're all dead now. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's different when they're all dead and there's no real actual person.
But it's still, but morally, is there a difference? if they're dead or alive, you're still potentially telling a lie or fabricating a story.
I don't know. I feel like if the person's still living and it's actually based on their life, like actual situations, I feel like they have a right to say, I
Well,
need
that's
to
when
be
they
compensated for it.
yeah.
Or you
Oh, well,
need to
that's when they
consult with
get,
me and get my approval.
and that's when they get a right to fucking retaliate, like Pamela's done, and get 100% score on Rotten Tomatoes, and get their justice. I don't know the implications or the legal implications involved,
Isn't it funny
but
though
it happens.
that Tom and Pammy, or Pammy and Tom, or whatever the show was on Netflix, and then the new show is on Netflix too.
Yeah, well, the Tommy and Pammy, I think, is on Disney too.
Oh,
It's not a Disney
actually, you
Channel
could be
show.
right. It is on Disney. You could be right. Maybe Netflix have like paid her to retaliate, and
So
then
they can get more. Yeah.
yeah. But I feel like I would feel incredibly wrong. Like I would fight
Oh,
that shit
totally.
hard.
100%. It's like, yeah, 100%. I get that. And if your name's being cast in a bad light, of course you're going to fucking want to
Or
retaliate.
even just private, intimate parts of my life, like, you
The
know,
whole-
provided an additional narrative that yes, there was certain things in the paper, but still it's just what people report, where that it's facts, and then they make stuff out of it. Do you know what I mean? Like I just don't think that's fair.
Embellish. Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all that they don't have a say, or they don't get financial recognition for it. Like I don't like that at all.
There should be royalties involved, 100%.
At least we don't have to worry about the shit that we say on this podcast, because really,
not yet.
what are they going to do to us, really?
This time next year. Where did you get your intel, Wikipedia? Where did you get your intel?
I will not say. I will not answer that question.
Vampires for Dummies. So I've got one last article that's actually kind of like a fun one to lighten the mood.
Sure.
It's another one that I'd seen come across on Facebook or Insta, and it's about how CrossFit runners ran past a restaurant in Brazil and everyone panicked. Have you seen this?
No, why did they panic?
Okay, so footage from a restaurant in Brazil has shown the moment that a CrossFit group managed to spark mass panic as they went running past a restaurant. CCTV footage from a bar that I'm not even going to attempt to try and pronounce. You want me to, don't you?
It's not that I want you to. I feel like the listeners need you to.
Cervejaria Alfiate. That's 2 words.
Wow.
Captured people sat in the establishment's outdoor seating area in Brazil.
Outside.
But when a group of runners pass through, the scene becomes deserted in a matter of seconds as panic ensues. So with tables and chairs overturned in the chaos.
Oh, because they thought they were running from something, did they?
So the people run past, everyone thinks something bad is happening, and they all just get up and start bolting with the runners.
Oh my God, this is something that I would totally do. I'll be like, everybody's running.
What's going on?
What are we running from? Okay.
A few at first
I can't
get up and start running after them, and then everyone just bolts. They all just start looking. Well, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed our take on what's really important in the world these days. Sorry that it cut off so quickly just then. Something happened to our file and it's missing the last 5 minutes of the show. But look, we did get most of our banter in there, so that's a good thing, right?
Tune in next week as we head to the United States of America and feast on the literal smorgasbord of true crime.
Num, 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 num.
Liking what you hear will tell your mates. Sharing is caring, plus. And remember, if you're not whining, you're winning. I mean, if you're whining, you're winning.
That's right. And we're always winning because we're always
just
whining.
Winners.
Good night, stupid bitches.
Good night.
Yeah, that stupid bitch. He's a stupid bitch. What a stupid bitch. That stupid bitch.